Hello everybody and welcome back to my Magic Duel of Champions. Well, in spite of what happened last week, and actually before, we're gonna have something interesting today, and I'm not sure if we're gonna have any time to duel today, unluckily. But there is a matter that's worth addressing, and it's worth skipping the duel today. Well, with a little bit of luck, I'll try to squeeze one, but I doubt that it will be possible. So, what's the problem? The problem is Masfar. Okay? And as you know, because I've said it many times before, Masfar and Masfar-related Titan decks are so incredibly bugged, OP, that you can hardly do anything besides raging and quitting whenever you see Masfar popping out. But I was like, that's impossible. You cannot play like this, and that's why I decided to create what I called the AM deck. AM, which currently has 22 cards and no hero, and I'll get over the reasons why in a second. But what stands AM for? AM stands for Anti-Masfar or Anti-Meta, whichever you prefer more, but essentially it is the same thing. So what do we have here is essentially an effect of, well, around a week or so of a conversation between me and Proton Cannon. It wouldn't be possible without you, man. On how to effectively deal against Masfar and what you can possibly do against Masfar. And to some extent, not only against Masfar, but to some extent against decks like potentially Ariana, owning you with stacks, possibly with what are they called? With the now I lost the word. With the poison counters and or the crippling counters, which are nowadays quite rarer compared to the poison stacks, because you can of course abuse the poison stacks with Icors. So basically, what do we have here? Why that and why nothing more? Well, simply nothing more because that is a deck I started assembling from behind. You know, the usual, at least the way I usually assemble decks, is I start by picking a hero, then somewhat deciding what I'm gonna build for. I then start to add the general cards, like the staples of the deck. Like for example the empowered spells for TR, as that's what TR was supposed to be, and then add other cards that will work well with what I've currently added. But this time I've started from behind. I've started picking the cards I may want to use, and I thought that after I've assembled these cards, I may think of picking a suitable hero for them, and maybe creatures and spells and other things. So basically, what do we have here, why, etc, etc. First of all, the most important card of all, and this is probably the one I would have never figured on my own, and this one I 100% own to Proton Cannon. The Broken Bridge. The Broken Bridge, the card I used to use. That sounds weird. Quite frequently before the standard format arrived. I had it in, I think, every deck, and I've been using it whenever possible, because this is really yeah. I've just read the description of the Broken Bridge. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I've been using it in the pre-standard format times quite frequently, and I really liked it. Nowadays I kinda neglected this, but actually this is a very well card, and that's what I was saying when I was talking with Proton Cannon, that despite being an excellent card, this is not really solving your problem, not really against the Titans, nor against the Ichor Weaver. But actually he made a great point that, especially against the Ichor Weaver, when you remove the Ichor Weaver, while your opponent has many poison counters on his creatures, they are virtually invincible. But with Broken Bridge, they can be removed. I mean, the Ichor Weaver can be removed, and then when the opponent's next turn starts, the insane amount of poison counters on the creatures simply kill them. So that's how to use it against Ariana. How to use it in other situations? Well, this is brilliant in case you are so lucky to encounter an unusual build of Heaven. Yeah, I know, that's not really likely, because we'll probably face Masfar more often now. But anyway, against Anton and his insane stacks, like, ever imagine Anton dropping a stack of four Griffin Legionnaires? Yeah, they are pain in the butt, even if there's only a couple of them. Getting rid of the 3 is nearly impossible, and if there's a 4th one, then you are in a great trouble. Let me find them, because it's easier to say, but I'd rather prove it. Here, look, they have 4 health each to retaliation. So if you don't have something that's immune to retaliation, you know, even stack with a size of 2. If you don't have anything that's immune to retaliation, you're gonna feel that retaliate painfully. Not to mention insane health, you know. With a stack size of 3, this has already 12 health, which is more than even Chantilly Titan, which is in fact the creature with the most health, being 11. And as much as 6 retaliation, so this is insane. Dealing with them is really problematic if you don't have a creature with immune to retaliation, and if you don't have anything to protect the creature with immune to retaliation from its direct attack. But always your immune to retaliation creature can be targeted by spells and etc, etc. Various reasons, but they are a pain in the ass if they get to huge numbers, and for them huge numbers starts at 3. So that's worth noting. So imagine he's wasted, like, let's say he wasted 3 of those. Okay, let's say he got 1 from some effect, but there's a stack size of 4. You drop the Broken Bridge, they are all being neglected, and only 1 goes to hand. Not to mention that with a token creatures, I'm pretty sure that token creatures get discarded right away. They cannot go back to your hand, so that's even better. Against Titans, well, against Titans it's a pure delay. And we're gonna discuss in a second why I figured out that actually going for the pure delay and returning cards into their owner's hand may be actually a great idea. Let me elaborate on that, because this is a great card, and this is a very versatile card, and you can really depend on it to some extent at least. This may help you, if not instantly win you, it will at least help you delay the inevitable demise, which in turn might turn... That wasn't actually expected. Which in turn might actually result in you winning the duel, because you will be able to drop stuff, or you will be able to keep the stuff alive long enough for it to take an effect on the battlefield, or drop better cards that will help your creatures in certain ways. Yeah, Broken Bridge, definitely. This is the key. Or you can always use it to recycle your creatures. You have something powerful with 12 poison counters on it, Broken Bridge, and you can redeploy it, and it will be clean, full health, no counters, ready for action. Oh, not to mention that it will be a great way to deal with the Blinding Lights, the spell that was always really annoying. At least for me, because it really renders your creature useless. So this is a really good card, and I must say it once again, thank you, Proton Cannon, because without you I would have never ever thought of using this. Now the other card, which is actually in fact my discovery, is the Magic Interdiction, and this is a brilliant card. Until your next turn, choose Air, Earth, Fire, Water, Dark, Light, or Prime. Cards of the chosen school cannot be played. And why is it so awesome? Because this is, again, this part is thanks to Proton Cannon. He pointed out that he cannot really figure out what to do with it, but the one thing that all the Titans have in common is that they are prime constructs. No, actually, he said that they are prime magics. Constructs as well, but that's another thing. They are prime magic creatures. So if we can abuse the fact that they are prime magic creatures, maybe we can get somewhere. And here's where magic interdiction comes, because this thing can disable prime cards from the play, and this will be just perfect because Masfar, well, 99% of times, Masfar relies on dropping Titans. I don't recall, maybe I have faced one, but I honestly don't recall Masfar using creatures different than prime cards. Well, actually, constructs in general. I'm not sure about the standard gargoyles and or the... Well, the obsidian gargoyles are for sure prime. The standard gargoyles, actually, I should be able to take a look over here. They should be around the cost of 2 if I'm not mistaken. And they should be at Academy, so slightly higher, a little bit higher. Gargoyles, prime, so actually the regular gargoyles are prime as well. So honestly, I don't recall Masfar using anything else beside prime creatures. Well, yeah, maybe I have seen 1 or 2 using Scholars and or Rakshasa Skirmishers for the cheap openers, but neither of these two is prime, and neither of these two is a huge threat to anyone. And yeah, this is Magic Flyer Construct Gargoyle. And this prime, of course. Have I mentioned prime? Prime, of course. And as is the case with many other constructs and academy creatures in general. So that's a good thing to have. You drop this, you choose prime, and essentially Masfar is disabled for a turn. Well, yeah, he'll probably go for increasing his stacks, hoping his stats, hoping that he'll be able to drop some ice meteorites on you in a turn or two. But they are not very likely. So these are the cards we're having here, and slowly we are getting to the more and more important cards, and the cards I actually figure out on my own. Sorry, Proton Cannon, you're not responsible for everything, because I don't recall you saying anything about the Arcane Ward. The relocation is... well, actually relocation shouldn't be there. It was just me fiddling with the deck. I should have removed this because it's not that crucial. Town portals, again, they are important. But here, let's say that was indeed mentioned by Proton Cannon, the Dissolve. Permanent when a magic creature is about to be played. Negate that creature and then destroy Dissolve. That's yet another... oh, that's magic melee, worth noting. That's yet another great counter to Masfar and his creatures. Because he cannot deploy his overpowered generator, Titan or whatever, because it will be destroyed. So yeah, it forces some of the slightly alternate techniques on Masfar. Eye of the Mana Storm. Until your next turn, target creature gain magic shield. Prevent all damage from spells or magic creatures dealt to this creature. Yeah, I think this is self-explanatory. If all Titans are magics, then this will prevent their damage. One thing worth noting is that, at least according to what Proton Cannon said, this magic shield protects from all the effects like Area Blast and the Focus Blast, the shockwaves and all the other bullshit. So that's an added benefit to it. I have only 2 because I don't believe I have any more copies of that card, but it might be worth taking more. No, I don't have any. Unluckily. I don't have any more Rise of Nethermancers, and I would definitely take at least 1 more. This is banish target card from either graveyard. So this is the first principle with this deck. I don't really plan on building a deck here that will draw much from the graveyard, and why this is this is important is to counter, and this is slightly more when the anti-meta aspect comes to the place rather than the strictly anti-Masfar effect. Because this will also prevent the Necropolis builds and the situations that happened to me last duel. You probably remember when I was doing so well, I was so happy because I destroyed the freaking Ichor Weaver somehow, which was unbelievably difficult, but I've gotten rid of it. Thanks to this, I've gotten rid of almost everything on my opponent's side, and I was so confident I was doing so good. And then the Arthropos drew the Ichor Weaver back, and I knew that I'm screwed again. So, Rise of the Necromancer. Besides that, when it comes to Masfar, Masfar has many ways to take construct creatures back from graveyard and back to his hand. There's Soldier, there is Prime Shift something. Let me take a brief look at Fortunes. I should also restrict to Academy only. And I have none. No, wait. There is Soldier. And there is Shifting Face. Take 2 target prime creature cards from your graveyard. Plus, Soldier, take target construct creature from your graveyard. So, with these, combined, he can have up to 4 of these and 4 of these. 4 of these give 8 creatures back to life. 4 of these give 4 creatures back to life, so with these 2 cards at full stack, he's gaining 12 creatures. 12 motherfucking overpowered titans back from dead, from graveyard, to his hand. Yeah, they both take into the hand. So that's really nasty, and that's what we're trying to fight here. The last thing is the Cosmic Balance, that was again recommended by Proton Cannon, but I have elaborated on this, and this is where I started to go for this deck. The whole well, not entirely the whole idea behind this deck, but when I started thinking what I could possibly do with this deck, and when I was browsing cards, what different cards do we have, what different effects do these cards have, I have figured out a way. Well, Cosmic Balance is great because we're gonna where are these? We're gonna use Broken Bridges to return the cards to their hand. We're gonna use Magic Interdictions to prevent them from using any cards. So hopefully Masfar will just stack up on cards. And at some point, well, luckily Masfar will have like 12 cards in his hand. And we're dropping the Cosmic Balance. And the Cosmic Balance screws him. Of course, it deals 2 damage to your hero. And this is the bad thing about this. But still, discard cards at random until they have a maximum of 6 in hand. 6 in hand is still quite a lot, but keep in mind that this removes 6 cards from Masfar's hand, given that he had 12 cards in a hand. And actually, Masfars don't really tend to drop a lot at one turn, because Titans are freaking expensive, and that's a fact. And even though they can, you know, use Masfar's ability for free, they still can hardly afford more than 1 Titan, especially early on in the game. So following this is where I came with the idea of Town Portals. Town Portals are really great, and Town Portals will be really helpful. Again, returning to their hand, and from the hand, banish. Banish, banish, and once again banish. And that's what I really thought I'm gonna do with this deck. Discard, discard, discard. I'm not even gonna... No. Make it the easy way. You see this? You see this? This is essentially what I meant. Discard, 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 discard. Everything regarding discarding. And that's what I like to do. Sorry, against Masfar and in general against meta. In general, yeah. I think I've doubled the in general thingy. Well, actually, besides all those cards here, there's one card that I have to mention before I forget about it, and that's a fairly important card, but unluckily, I don't have this card. And oh my, this will be probably the first time ever I will say that there is a card in Sins of Betrayal that I freaking need. Can you believe that? A useful card in Sins of Betrayal. I was so neglective about Sins of Betrayal. I was always calling this expansion so useless in general. Well, actually, I think I mentioned that I need these Storm Rages at some point. But I don't recall that I was saying in particular that I'm gonna need to buy more Sins of Betrayal packs to get this card. But with this card, I'm gonna mention right now, this is a good reason to invest in Sins of Betrayal packs. And this card is... Ice Curse. No, not Ice Curse. Where are you? I'm blind. Well, actually, Magic Interdictions are from Sins of Betrayal, so that's again another good reason to invest in those. I'm totally blind. Here! Magic Steel. Look at opponent's hand and choose a non-unique magic creature card from it. You can play this creature for free. If you don't, put that card in opponent's graveyard. Actually, it doesn't say anything about the creature's requirements. Hopefully you don't have to meet the creature's requirements. But either way, it's either a way to A. Get rid of your opponent's overpowered titans instantly without him even being able to drop them, or in even the better case, this is the way to take control of the insane titans and use them against your opponent. Focus blast him, area blast him, shockwave him. Actually, no, titans don't have area blast. I'm always confusing this with shockwave because area blast affects the area, but it kinda, for me, it seems like if it's area, it targets an area, but it actually targets a creature. With no adjustment, friendly creature gain -2. Well, actually, Illusionary Nightmare. That would be good. That's the problem I had. It's like I went on and started adding those cards, and I'm really like, there's quite a few darkness cards that would be really helpful, but unluckily I don't have any darkness. I don't have any heroes with darkness and prime, and there are some in Necropolis roster. Ariana, I think there's a couple of Mother Namtarus. I think Anastasia has this combo, so she can be potentially used against Masfar as well. But, yeah. Up to this point, this is more or less what we came up with Proton Cannon. What I figured out next, there are some different strategies. First of all, the aforementioned town portals to return the creatures to opponent's hand. Secondly, there is this Arcane Mastery. Magic damage from friendly sources cannot be prevented or reduced, and I'm not entirely sure about this. It's like, I think I should have included this in TR deck, because that would be very good for TR deck. Although, still, with the damage output of TR deck, the Arcane Mastery... Well, yeah, the reduction of the damage on the TR deck is not really that significant that I should really bother, but still. Magic damage from friendly sources cannot be prevented or reduced. I wonder how it affects the fire heal and such. Because this is a magic damage from the friendly source, but the creature has a fire heal, so will the damage... Well, it cannot be prevented or reduced, but this is some sort of a way of preventing, not really reducing, this is really preventing the damage and turning it to healing instead. Also, I think there is one more thing worth noting. What we came up with while talking with Proton Cannon is the Month of Spider Queen. And how it actually works, because Proton Cannon was thinking that maybe using the Month of Spider Queen will allow you to kill the opposing force, because your opponent has all those poison counters and they are supposed to heal, but creatures and heroes cannot be healed, so they shouldn't heal. So if they're not healing, they should kill, because that's what poison counters does. But actually, as I pointed out, not really, because the creatures still have the effect of Poison Heal, and Poison Heal gives them the effect that poison does not deal damage to them. And while poison does not deal damage, it won't heal either, and that's actually how the Month of Spider Queens affects it. Affects the creatures with a lot of poison stacks and Ichor Weaver in play. They won't take any damage, but they won't heal, so this is considerable. So let's get back to the builds. And what I started with is the Void Wraith, and I'm pretty sure this is a must-have. You cannot really go without this. Especially against Masfar. To some extent against whatever's her name as well. Ariana, and actually Ichor Weaver I meant. Why? Because you will be forcing your opponent to kill those. Okay? Either by cleverly placing them around the board, so your opponent will either have to skip an AoE attack with Titan to not kill the Void Wraith and lose 3 health, or do whatever your Masfar opponent is planning and execute his attack, but instead kill the Void Wraith as well, in turn dealing damage to him directly. And I'm really sad that I don't have the 4th one, because 4th one would be really useful. When it comes to other creatures, I wasn't really bothering with this yet. When it comes to spells, well, of course, we have those dissolves that will be great. If I had any magic steals, I would definitely include them. I have those town portals, I don't have more. This arcane mastery here, well, this is just because right now. And just for the sake of being in, and really I'm not sure if I'm really gonna keep it. But I was thinking that if I were gonna build this on Inferno, I still may wanna build something that, you know, takes advantage of Inferno's destructive power of fire spells. And, you know, combine them with these, then something like the stupid Obsidian Gargoyle won't be a threat anymore. There is the simple relocation that actually might be good as a filler, because sometimes you may need a little bit of way to maneuver around the board. Relocate target friendly creature, target enemy creature, so it gains, it benefits you in both ways. Not only you can place your creatures in a more beneficial spot, but also you can move your opponents out of the way. Yeah. And there is the Arcane Ward, and again I'm really sad I don't have more of these, but this is a magic shield that's persistent. You see, magic shield. Prevent all damage from spells or magic creatures dealt to this creature, and it's persistent. So this is insane, and this, in fact, is a perfect counter to Masfar. But you need 4 of those, 4 magic and 4 resources to deploy each of those. And then you have to keep them alive. My god, this is rendering Masfar totally useless. This is OP. I need more time of renewal packs. Just decided. And when the fortunes, that's all for the time being. So furthermore, what I was thinking, if I'm going to build this, well, let's actually start. I was thinking about Ignatius, but no Prime, so that's a bummer. So let's go with Garan, Seeker of Discord, of course. Now, as you see, all of those are okay, and then we're gonna stay with this. For the time being, I'm gonna keep them. Why not? I'm gonna alter this in case I'm gonna need this. Relocate target friendly creature. That would be somewhat helpful as well. But buildings as well, because if we're facing Masfar with intense AoE damage dealing everywhere, why won't we take advantage of Masfar killing our creatures? Why don't we make use of those creatures that we are losing? And this is it. This is the sacrificial pit. At least 3 of those are necessary. Why? Well, because Masfar will be killing your creatures, and while killing your creatures, he will be taking damage. Whenever an Inferno creature at sacrificial pit dies, deal 1 damage to enemy hero. So that's what we meant. I was thinking about maybe some walls of destruction, but I'm not entirely convinced, and I don't really want to go nuts on the cards. Urtragal's Bastion is indeed helpful, but I'm not sure how helpful it is against Masfar. I don't really recall Masfar increasing attack on his creatures that much. He may have some ways to do it, but not that much ways to do it. And he's not really healing well, so yeah, that's not really the case. As well, as I said, I was thinking about Walls of Destruction, but I'm not 100% convinced. So what we're gonna go for now are the purely discard cards, and with this, whenever opponent plays a card, they discard the card. So I know that they may seem a little bit contradictory, because on one hand I'm taking the Cosmic Balance, and on the other I'm taking all the discards possible. Creature or spell or fortune. Of course we're taking creature. So we'll take 4 of these as well. I'm not really convinced about the Maws of Chaos and or Halls of Amnesia, although some might be helpful. Maws of Chaos to prevent the Titan workforce, and Halls of Amnesia to prevent something like Meteorite or something in this manner. This is second great card, and actually I forgot to mention it before. Banish all cards in both graveyards, void Judgment. Oh, and it's fucking cheap. Why is it great? As I mentioned, with this deck, with Inferno, we're not really aiming at reusing cards from our graveyard. So we can feel free to banish as much as we want from our graveyard, and at the same time we're reducing Masfar chances of reusing his overpowered constructs. Titans, that's the word I was looking for. Besides that, what do we have here? I think there should be at least, yeah, Escalating Madness. And then, with all of these, we can try to again benefit on the way Masfar plays, or actually the way we'll be forcing Masfar to play, without really risking too much. And we'll take Urjabal's Calls to deal 3 damage to enemy hero whenever opponent discarded a card this turn. That's interesting. So we have to actually make him discard in this particular turn when we're using Urjabal's Call. So with this nice deck right now, we're not exceeding the magical number of 3 destiny, and that's bloody brilliant. Especially that we're starting with... I'm looking if there are any fortunes that exceed this number, but apparently not. We're starting with Garant, which has already 2 for the starts, so that's a huge benefit. Now, building this, we should think about building it in a way where we could benefit from attacking our opponent when he will not be able to attack us. So, first of all, Maniacs. They are the staple. Now, we should avoid magical creatures, and that's gonna be a problem, I'm afraid. Yes, it is gonna be a problem. What am I supposed to use for shooters here? Magic. Well, this is not magic, but this is not shooter, and this is magic. So actually, there are no shooters with a cost of 2 in Inferno's roster, or any card with a cost of 2 that can be put in the back row that is not magic. And again, why are we being cautious with this? Because we don't necessarily want to prevent our playstyle with Dissolve. Okay, we want to focus the Dissolve on Masfar, not on our cards. And in case where we play something, then we drop the Dissolve and leave the Masfar to play. If he's not playing anything, then we're kinda screwed. Well, if we stay at 4-3 with Magic at 4 and Destiny with 3, we'll be awfully close to what I had in the TR deck, which will make the plays even more similar. And again, all the offensive spells I'm pretty sure I need. And I'm already at 55 cards without almost without creatures. That is bad, I know. But let's drop a couple of Fire Blasts and drop a couple of Magma Bursts. Well, actually Anti-Masfar. Well, Anti-Masfar cannot be prevented or reduced by default. Again, I wonder how it affects the fire heal creatures. Cannot be prevented or reduced. Let's take one. We're gonna think of the consequences later. Oh, I don't even have enough events, and I'm already beyond the limit of the cards. That is bad. So from this, we're gonna take one of these, and one of these, just in case. Crap, I'm still one short. If I am one short, then... Now, here, I don't really want to take the Great Hunt. Or do I? Actually, I do. This is gonna be good. I'm afraid we're going for a meal here. It's like I wanted to include even more fortunes. I wanted to go for campfires. I wanted to take the gold mines because, as expected, this may end up being quite costly. So you know what? Why won't we make it a meal at the same time? 4 of these, 4 of these, 4 of these, and a couple of both these and these. A couple, not 3. With that in mind, why don't we take one of these and one of these? And now that opens us to play Halexian Librarians with a reason, of course. Well, unluckily, Hellfire Imp has only 1 fire burst, and that's a little bit low. Sea Elf Archers are too expensive on the other hand. I'm looking for something with a cost of 2. Sorry. I don't really want to, you know... Crap, that's the problem. I don't want to give the back row to something that's totally vulnerable, like Black Vultures. They are not even immune to retaliation. That sucks for them. It might be a good idea to take... yeah, but this is melee, magic melee. I have like 10 melees right now. Nothing else whatsoever. What do we have for a cost of 3? Well, Tormentor with Area Blast, Juggernaut, that's melee. That is melee death. It's actually a shooter, and that's a shooter with attack anywhere. But this is even better, Fatebender. While opponent discarded a card this turn, Fatebender gains +2 attack. So this is a must-have. Reborn Incubus. When Reborn Incubus is put into your graveyard from your library, put it into your hand. Not that useful, but given that he's quite tough, he's a flyer, not bad stats, let's take him. Soul-consuming Ifrit won't really help us because we're not really going for stacking a lot of cards in the graveyards, but definitely taking Thrall of Hatred and combining it with Sacrificial Pit. Oh, that's bloody brilliant. I should really avoid taking the neutrals, even though I am still tempted by Sea Elf Archers. This is again the card I used to use a lot before standard format, and they were really good. Let's take 4 of these, why not? Magic, Shooter, Demon, Breeder, Area Blast. Yada yada bullshit. Although this magic channel could be helpful for the current build. You know, if we could build without exceeding the might of 3, that would be great. Or that would be even more than great. That would be fucking brilliant. Whenever a spell from a school other than Dark or Fire is played, deal 1 damage to the spell's controller hero. So that's not really good for us, because we will be playing Prime. Madcap Imp is a valid choice. I think I'll go for the Hellfire Cerberus. As for the range support, I'm not entirely convinced about the Swelling Breeders, although the fact that they have the added oh, that's bloody brilliant, but I'm afraid it won't affect when she's dealt damage via the area effects. Or is it? It needs to be proven. Although it's melee, it's magic again. Melee, flyer, magic shooter, magic melee, magic shooter, melee, melee. This is magic flyer. I would really like to go for more juggernauts because they are awesome. But I'd rather be cautious. How are the magma elementals doing? Where are the magma elementals? Magma elementals cost 3, prevent all friendly fire damage dealt to friendly fire creatures, and actually dropping that's melee again. But dropping 1 and then executing the Arcas Wrath, pure profit, because it's friendly fire damage that's being dealt to friendly fire creatures. Well, friendly fire creatures, you say, eh? Friendly fire creatures. I have one mere Cerberus that's a fire creature, so that's not really good. I don't really want to go for the Hellfire Slaves because of their might requirement, but I'm afraid there's very little I can do without the 4th might. Immune to retaliation, adjacent fire creatures gain +1, adjacent dark creatures gain +1. She's quite good on her own, so why not take her? And at this point, we made a horrible, horrible deck. If opponent hero's remaining health is not less than yours, deal 2 damage instead. Interesting. And spell still heretic. You may take target instant dark or fire spell from your graveyard and play it for free. You must still meet its level requirements. If you do, banish that spell. But requires 4 magic, and you know what? Right now I have created what I'm fairly satisfied with, and I'll be fairly satisfied adding 3 more cards to it. Or actually, let's say 2 more cards to it to stay at 99, which is 40 cards over the limit. This is still insane. With only 22 creatures, only 22 spells, but 41 cards in 41 fortunes, and the fortunes are what plays the crucial role in this game. By preventing, by returning, by banishing, and by dealing damage after discarding. This is not gonna work, totally not. Yeah, how I know that it won't work? Because I've been trying the Ignatius before. Although the problem with Ignatius was that Ignatius had actually no creatures whatsoever. He requires 5 destiny anyway. So it's not really that easy to go, 100% into discarding your opponent and trying to deal damage this way. Even with Ignatius, whose passive ability is deal 2 damage to their hero, the first time they discard the card in a turn if Ignatius's destiny level is 5 or more. Well, actually, were I to create the more reasonable deck with some creatures to act as meat shields. Sweet Jesus. Yeah. We're going all motherfucking all for blasts. Yeah, well, actually, I have here quite a lot of creature removal. That probably isn't that good for this deck. Yeah, it would be way better for me to stick to cards like Cursed Bound. Do I have the 4th Cursed Bound? Probably not. That sucks. How much do you cost, Cursed Bound? 3. So looking at the cards with a cost of 3, I can't see anymore. That is bad. That is really bad. But going insane on burst, and once again deal damage to your opponent when it dies, and Fatebender. Well, the problem is that this deck has quite a high requirements when it comes to stats, because it's already a 0-4-5 deck. Yes, that is 0-4-5. Are there cards to increase the... Yes, they are, but they are... But it already requires 3 might on its own. This is insane. The problem is that grinding up to 5 destiny is insane. Especially if you're starting from 1, and destiny is pretty much useless. For anything useful, you don't use destiny. It's already on 65 cards, so I would have to cut on the number of spells probably. And as I said, I'm probably gonna cut on the damage dealing spells in order to introduce some damage dealing creatures. Oh, and combine it with sacrificial pits, it will be more than the best. If there is a dark creature at Heretic Library, deal 1 damage to enemy hero. Is that so? Is there any Inferno hero with light magic available? Why do I need light magic? Because light magic gives blinding light, which makes it more difficult for your opponent to get rid of your creature. As you know, it cannot be its face, so no creatures can attack it. Although were it to go with Damiria and maybe stack something like the persistent stone shields and the additional healths, and maybe then drop some regeneration, making something that's insanely overpowered. Jezbeth, on the other hand, has water, and water is really handy for stuff like ice shields, ice armor actually. I don't recall which one of these are available in standard and which are not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they only lose Belias, Lord of the Kennels. Oh. Discard the card, deal 1 damage to enemy hero. You know what? This is insane. Yes, this is. This is motherfucking insane. So, given you're somehow able to persist for 20 turns, you will be able to just, you know, wreck your opponent by discarding cards. This is a perfect mill deck. That would be good because it has both Prime and Darkness, and there are many Darkness spells that would be helpful for... What am I doing? Altar of Wishes, or whatever. As far as I remember, there are many cards in the Dark roster that I would like to use as well in the anti-meta deck. Namely... Soul River. Yeah. Well, because Soul River is like a cheaper alternative to and Enthrall. This I like to use. Enthrall is yet another good choice, although it's extremely expensive. But it will again take control of the Titans from Masfar and give it to you. And if you can take control of Masfar's Titans, well, not only he will be mad, you will be getting an advantage. Yeah, it's like surging Titan or surging Golem or whatever it is called. Surge. I don't need any. I don't need anything more. Surging Titan. No. If it's not surging, which one is it? Generator Titan, this bitch. Or another friendly construct creature dies, it deals 4 damage to all non-construct creatures on the same row. And you're doomed when this shit is in play. Nope, Enthrall, you take it, and it's no longer in play. In fact, it's yours to keep. Enters the battleground, look at top 3 cards of your library and put all construct cards from among them into your hand. This is so much bullshit all the way. So yeah, we finished the Anti-Masfar deck. I'm not really satisfied with it. I'm moderately satisfied, but not entirely satisfied. It has too many cards and not enough really useful cards, namely creatures. Although I still believe there is some chance to play something with it. Okay, and given that it's a 3-4-3 deck, it's not that insanely difficult to deal with it. Why am I going so low on damage dealing spells right now? Simply because Titans. And if I don't get the Arcane Mastery and Masfar drops the Obsidian Gargoyle, then those spells become obsolete. Simply useless. But then I could use the relocation and put the Titan somewhere else and take advantage of it in a way. Yada yada yada. Well, we're at 1 hour mark right now, if I'm not mistaken, or so. Oh, actually, I'm looking at the clock, but I forgot when we started. Anyway, I also thought about one alternative way to deal with this deck. Let me just get rid of Masfar here and explain what I meant. And this is simply vampires. Let me take a brief look if vampires are magic creatures. Regular flyer and other vampires are this is a vampire, that's good. And other vampires are not magic as well. So actually having a card unique creature shooter vampire. Vampire. So vampires are just flyers and they are not magical. Ooh, Fate Sealer, hello. So they will be great, again, especially in conjunction with these Sacred Venom Fumes. Until your next turn, all vampire creatures gain +1 and +1. All non-vampire creatures gain -1 and -1. So it will be significantly debuffing the debuffing Masfar. Of course, then you can keep the cards like Magic Interdiction or Broken Bridge that will still be insanely helpful. Of course, you won't have all those discarding fortunes that I have here, and fortunes that are used to get more discarding fortunes. But there is also this building called Vampire Ritual Altar. While a vampire creature is at Vampire Ritual Altar, all enemy creatures on the same row gain -1 and -1, so this may be helpful as well, because we'll be playing vampires. Oh, of course. I have only 1 Garant. Well, actually it shows 3 out of 3 Sirius, so maybe I really do have only 1 Garant. Anyway. Yeah, but to build the vampires that will be effective against Masfar, you have to either build on Anastasia, Mother Namtaru, or Ariana. Because you need these prime cards, these prime spells, namely Dissolve and Magic Steal. These two, if you can get these 2 spells, if you can get other cards like Broken Bridge, like Curse of Nether bullshit and other stuff, that's the way to deal with Masfar. Unluckily, we won't really have time to deal with Masfar right now, because I have wasted too much time talking about the decks. I would say that I'm gonna try the deck on my own, but I probably won't. I'll probably be way too busy with other stuff and won't really bother with this. So we'll probably leave these for the next week. See how this works. In the worst case scenario, I will think about it a couple of times again, and I may just want to, you know, remove some cards from it, maybe add more creatures, maybe figure something out. That will be good. But anyway, that will be it for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, share, and yeah. Any more ideas how to effectively deal with Masfar will be great. But anyways, as I said, that will be it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week. Take care and kill Masfar.